let me use this analogy. Uh, you're on a freeway, a motorway, as we call them in Britain, and the motorway is taking you to infinity beyond the simulation. It's taking you to the true I, the state of pure awareness. Now, if you need, we can come to this, if you need, as these entities or consciousness that have created this simulation, if you need to keep people in it because it's giving you an energetic sustenance that you can't get any other way, then you've got to stop that journey to infinity. Because when you get further enough along that freeway, you are out of the simulation. And that is the worst nightmare. For reasons I'll come to, they are feeding off low vibrational human emotional and mental energy. So they need to keep us here. And that's why you have the trap of karma, and you have the trick of the fake heaven and the fake afterlife realm, the astral, because it's to keep you there so they can keep bringing you back, telling you you've got to learn lessons to evolve into the human world, where overwhelmingly this, what's called by many people now loosh, this low vibrational human energy, is generated through all the challenges that people have and all the wars and all the things that happen and all the suffering and all the depression and all the anxiety and all the fear, the base emotion of all of it. They need us to keep coming back. That's why I said earlier, I concluded that if you left the body after an experience in this reality, you'd overwhelmingly say, I'm not going back there, but you have to be brought back here. And so this freeway has slip roads on it, slip roads galore, to stop you getting to that infinite self that you really are. So religions are slip roads, and they operate in this reality. So if you are believing in Christianity and you leave the body and an image of Jesus appears, you're going to do what Jesus says. And, you know, we've talked about how, and I talk about it in greater detail in the reveal, how these projections can be created in a designer way to fit your belief system. Same with Islam, same with Hinduism, any of them. And so then there's the New Age slip road, where you talk about reincarnation, but you see it as a way of evolving. And, past lives, and I've been this in a past life and that in a past life. Oh, really? I am sorry. And so that's another slip road. And what I'm finding, and I did mention it briefly earlier, is this extraordinary cognitive dissonance that will not face reality, that will not face that this is actually a trap, and that, quote, God, as you perceive God, didn't create it. It was a very inverted, distorted state of awareness, detached from what you call God, or detached in a way that's not influenced by it, that created this. And that the energy or the consciousness that expresses itself in different form, like entities and what have you, Christianity talks about the devil, Satan, and demons. Islam talks about shaitan or iblis and jinn. Gnostics talk about Yoda Baoth, the demiurge, and archons, Greek for rulers, and so on and so forth. You find this same theme all over the world. The theme of a non-human force manipulating human society from the hidden, which is almost everything to human perceptual sight. And people don't want to face that. So they go into a state of cognitive dissonance where they try to explain the horrors, suffering, and conflicts of this world and deprivations of this world in a way that still can be explained through its God's will. And to do that, you basically disappear up your own backside trying to find a way of explaining it. So this is why, you know, you've got the New Age that sees the suffering and says, well, it's your karma, or it's you're just learning and evolving. Hold on a minute. When I leave here, am I aware that, you know, of a much greater reality, and I can put this into some kind of perspective? Oh yeah. Well, why do I need to come here then? Right? I mean, why do I need to come here? But
and what is this learning thing through lifetimes? It's like saying you went to elementary school and then you forget everything as you go to high school. So how do
exactly.
you don't build on it if you forget everything? So how can you build on your learning?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
What you're going to do is you're going to go back and learn what we're going to make you forget. It's like, you know, it's like deep breath, take a step back, look at it again. But I really do think, you know, we've hit on a big area here where people just don't want to face the fact of the situation that we're in. Therefore, they try to explain it away in some kind of positive way. And if we would only face it and see what the situation is, and see what keeps us here, which is very simple. It's to keep us in the astral and in the human world in a perceptual state and in a self-identity state that keeps us in a frequency state that keeps us in the frequency realm of the simulation. When we reach a point of self-awareness, self-identity, where we are aware that we are just awareness, all that is, has been, and ever can be, then we are generating a frequency in the nature of our consciousness, which when we leave the body, we're out of here. We're out of here. They can't keep us in unless they make us believe that this is real and the astral is real. When it's a simulated human world, and it's a simulated afterlife. And so one of the things that I have understood over the years is that these entities, and I explain in the book, you know, some of the sources, but there have been many. These entities and this consciousness in the end, because what we call, what Christians call the devil and Satan, what Islam calls shaitan, etc. That for me is the consciousness. That's the inverted consciousness. And what they call demons and jinn, etc., are expressions of that consciousness in some kind of form. And so the idea is that they set up this simulation in the human level, particularly because of its density, and it's dense by design, so that we humans experience low vibrational emotional triggers called wars, suffering, anxiety, fear of the future, regret of the past, and so on. Endless numbers of them. And conflicts between religions, conflicts between political parties, all this stuff, which generates this low vibrational, emotional, and mental energy that these people feed off. These entities, this consciousness ultimately through the entities feeds off. And so they have to keep this going, because this inverted consciousness has become so detached from the infinity of consciousness. It's still an expression of it, but it's become so detached, so lacking an influence and an energetic connection of any strength from it, that it's had to create its own energetic source. So when you had in the Matrix movies the Morpheus character holding up a battery and saying the Matrix is a computer generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these, that was a profound truth being spoken in an apparently fictional movie. And what I also realized long ago now is that this is where all the human sacrifice comes from. You know, I realized in the early 1990s, in early mid 1990s, that these major players in this global cult, this global cult, this global network of secret societies, is imposing the will on humanity of these entities of this consciousness. They're basically just, if you like, agents and assets of this operating in the human realm to impose the will of this non-human force. And so I realized that these major players in this cult were taking part in satanic ritual and human sacrifice. And it's like, why? And then you look back and you see how it was done in the open in those days before humanity grew up to the point where it was not acceptable anymore. They would sacrifice people, often children, sacrificing young virgins to the gods is code for children, just as these people do now. And it was an offering to the gods. So the next question, obviously, is, well, what do the gods get out of this then? And then you realize what these satanic rituals are doing, and this is why they're using the same rituals now they were in ancient Babylon, etc., is because of the nature of how the ritual impacts upon the energetic field and on the person involved. They are designed to generate maximum terror in the victim. And that terror is a very powerful, low vibrational energy which these entities feed off. And that's the gift to the gods of human sacrifice. Now, when someone's in an emotional state, you can see their body language. You can see them in an emotional state. What you cannot see is the energy, the frequencies of that emotional state, that emotion, that mental state, actually being generated by them. Why? Because that's an astral phenomenon. So these entities in the astral, the lower levels of the astral particularly, are feeding off that astral energy that we're generating as emotion and mental states. And they're certainly doing it in these rituals. And that's the gift to the gods that they've been doing, first of all, in the open, and then now in secret, because it's not acceptable anymore. And what also happens is when you generate this level of terror in someone, an adrenaline is triggered that enters the blood, and that blood is then drunk with this adrenaline in it by the Satanists who are taking part in the human world and conducting this ritual. This is where adrenochrome and all that stuff comes from. So you know, the more that you keep pushing, okay, I think I know this. What don't I know? The more you push that and push that and push that, the further and further and further and further away you get from Trump is the savior, or Harris is the savior, or whatever. The further you get away from that. And what's happening in this hijacked alternative media is that focus of attention on only that level, that tiny, tiny level of what's going on, is what so many people focus upon, when with the real foundation of the conspiracy to control humanity is to trick them into believing they are experiencing a reality that's nothing like the reality they think they're experiencing. It's to control perception on that basic level of being in a world you think you're in when you're not, and to generate the sustenance of your prison warders without any idea that that's what you're doing. That is the real level of human control. And of course, even beyond that is, how do we stop coming back here in this wheel of samsara business? Because if they can control your perception to the point where your frequency stays within the walls of the frequency walls of the simulation, you ain't going anywhere. But if you can reach this point of self-identity, of I am awareness, I'm beyond all of this stuff. It's all nonsense, not just some of it, all of it. And this is the real me. Then you are in a vibrational state. Out of here, gone. Bye. See ya.
And that is game over.
That's why I am so passionate in exposing and pointing out to people why this hijacked alternative media, which for many ways has become the mainstream, not alternative, but even the mainstream media now, why that is so important for people to see through. Because all this, the real way out of this nonsense, is lost to you when you're there thinking Trump's your savior.
You know, in the book you write, in the new book, The Reveal, you write, there are three major types of beings in the simulation: divine spark projections, soul incarnations, and AI directed non-player characters being played by the game. And that is part of the, and you point that out. You point out how there has been a population explosion in the last 150, 200 years. But you know, the argument that people are making, we're all one, we're all the same on the highest level. Yes, on the highest level. But if you look at it in our realm, there are so many backdrop people or non-player characters that have the sole role of distracting divine spark from realizing what it is, and misguiding it just by sheer masses. If 200 million people walk in one direction, you know, you might think, well, they can't all be wrong. Truth is they are. But that's sort of how that's how this game is played. And that's another incredibly triggering subject, is non-player characters. But if this is a virtual reality game, like any other virtual reality game, you have a lot of characters that don't really have any real role other than being there and maybe distracting you.
Well, this is interesting, because I would say that without the intervention of consciousness, conscious awareness, overriding the program, the biological computer body program, we're all non-player characters. In this sense, you know, when you watch and listen and read these accounts of people that have some memory of the incarnation process out of the astral, because some come in from beyond the astral and then go out beyond the astral. They just come in to try to do the best they can to explain to people what's going on, and then they're out of here. But those that come in from the and even those are subject to the same thing I'm going to describe. But if you're in any way conscious, then you start to override it. When you come in from the astral, you are given, this is very clear in these descriptions, you are given a series of events that are going to happen in your life. And interestingly, when those events happened and you go back into the astral, you are judged. They say, oh, there's no judgment in the astral. Oh, there is. They make you judge yourself. You're judged
pre-programmed events.
You're judged on those pre-programmed experiences. What's going on, right? So anyway, you come in, and so how are these pre-programmed experiences set up? Because the body is a biological computer, and running through it is a life program for that particular life. And if you do not override that program with consciousness, which you can change it, make different decisions that are conscious decisions rather than program decisions. Um, you are basically being run by the game throughout your life. You know, for me, there's two types of synchronicity. There's the synchronicity where consciousness is attracted to consciousness. And there's synchronicity, which is a synchronicity between programs, between body programs. So you meet someone and you have a relationship with that body program because it's in the program and it's in their program. And you know, this is happening all the time. So on that level, without the intervention of consciousness, you're a non-player character because the game's playing you. What is a non-player character? It's a character in a computer game where the game is playing the character and it's doing everything the character does is being decided by the game. You're not a player where you can impact on the game. You are part of the game, and that's the crucial role of awakening. You know, what is awakening? It's deprogramming.